So, you know when one of your really good friends has just started dating someone new and you and your other friends like do this deep dive into that new person and you kind of want to get into their business and know what they're like, their past relationships, etc. You want to see if they're legit, if they're going to be good to your friend. Channel that energy into your house hunting process. At least that's what I've been doing. So, hi everyone! If you're new here, my name is Jamie and I post vlogs, lifestyle and finance related videos here on my channel every Sunday. So today I'm going to be sharing some of the reflections and lessons learned in our house hunting journey so far. My partner and I are first home buyers, so this is definitely not professional advice, but I thought it might be useful to hear about our experience so far and some of the things that we've learned. What I'm going to be sharing with you today is also things that I've learned from my family and my friends who have gone through this process themselves and have imparted their wisdom on us. So if you find this at all useful, please hit the like button and comment down below so I know to do more of these as we go through our house hunting journey. So the first big lesson that I've learned is to be really clear about our priorities. I think especially when you're buying a house with a partner, it's important to communicate and be clear about what you're both looking for so you kind of know that you're on the same page. I know that no house is going to be perfect, at least not in my budget, so it's really important to kind of have that really upfront discussion at the very beginning. So my older brother suggested myself and my partner Key to write down a list. It was around a list of top 10 things that we were looking for in a house, and it was really helpful for us to see what our top priorities were and kind of narrow down the scope. When we came together and compared our lists, it was really reassuring to see that, we're on the same page, we're thinking about the right things. So after comparing our lists, we saw that our top 3 priorities are: number 1, that the house is in a good and safe location. Secondly, it's in a really good primary school zone. Thirdly, it's accessible via public transport, so it's easy to commute to work. And we were also really clear about our budget. So we are going through a mortgage broker and he has excellent reviews and he was able to arrange our pre-approval really quickly. And that was obviously really helpful to see at the start of the process around how much we could be borrowing. And this definitely limited our search, it narrowed our scope. And having those lists and our priorities written down as well is a really helpful reminder to not get carried away and compromise on the things that are most important to us, because I think if we were ever to do that, that would really lead us to making a decision that I know we would regret in the future. This flows on to my second reflection so far, which is thinking about how risk adverse me and Key are, how comfortable we are with debt, and the possibility of mortgage stress. And I think this is why budgets are so personal. I know that personally, I really don't do well when I'm stressed about money. And I think this is why I'm especially passionate about personal finance, because I know how that can really affect your mental health. So knowing that about myself, that really informed how risk adverse I am with this process. So for example, the bank told us we can borrow X amount, but we are not approaching that amount. And Key and I, we spent an afternoon mapping out all of our income, all of our expenses, and then calculating the mortgage amount that we'd be comfortable with paying off each month. And we also calculated that at a higher interest rates because the interest rates are so low that I don't want to be stressed when/if interest rates increase. So the third big lesson I've learned is that school zones are not necessarily straightforward, and it is important to check the primary school zone of your local school. I wouldn't just trust the real estate listings. I know they say at the bottom of the page what primary schools are located in your area. Instead, I would check the government Department of Education website and really confirming that your property is in the catchment zone of the primary school that you're after. And it's also really helpful just to know how firmly you are in that catchment zone. So for instance, if your property is on the boundary, on the line of a catchment zone, you do run the risk of 1 year the boundary slightly changes and you are no longer in the primary school catchment that you were after, and that's definitely an important consideration. So I know this sounds like a lot, but because, as I mentioned, a good primary school zone is one of our priorities, this is the kind of research that we've been undertaking. I prepared a table of the local areas that we're looking for and the primary schools in those areas. I've listed the scores of those schools and also the trends of their scores and their rankings. I know, it sounds like a lot, but also necessary. And yes, going through this part of the process has really made us feel like we are adulting, but I guess this is the reality of getting older, purchasing a home. And from our point of view, this is an investment. It's a longer term investment. So it's not crazy to be thinking about this next chapter of our lives, of having kids and wanting them to go to a good primary school. The next big reflection and lesson I've learned so far is to intimately get to know the property and the areas that you're looking at. So for example, does the property have strata fees, and what are they? Those fees really add up. And check the suburb profile. Maybe you want to look into the crime stats. There's so much information provided by the government police website, like a breakdown of different types of crimes in your area. Check the satellite view, see the surrounding properties, and do drive-bys of the property at different times of the day so you can see, for example, what the noise levels are like at different times of the day, as well as just sussing the general vibes of the area. I know this sounds like a lot, but again, I'm taking it from I'm a risk-averse person. This is a risk-averse approach. So I'm kind of just doing the due diligence to try to make as informed a decision as I can. So when one of your really good friends has just started dating someone new, and you and your other friends do this deep dive into that new person, and you kind of want to get into their business and know what they're like, their past relationships, etc. You want to see if they're legit, if they're going to be good to your friend. Channel that energy into your house hunting process. At least that's what I've been doing. So I've been going into full research mode with each property that we're interested in. And yes, again, it is time consuming, but I feel like this is the kind of research that I need to do to feel comfortable. The next big reflection is thinking about the off-putting aspects of a property. So asking ourselves whether there are qualities about this property that might make it more difficult for us if we want to sell this home in the future, if we want to rent it out in the future. And I think those qualities are really important to think through in our consideration of whether we want to buy the property, and if so, how much we're willing to offer. So for instance, is this property off a main road? Is this property 3 stories? So for example, with these 3 stories properties, essentially you're looking out a part of the market where there are older people who are looking to downsize. A 3-story property is not going to be so ideal. And again, these are questions that we're asking ourselves because we're thinking of this more long term. But yeah, that's just another one of the big reflections. The final big lesson, the final big lesson that I've learned so far, and it's advice that all my family and friends have told us is to practice patience in this process. We've seen friends, take around a year finding their dream house, but do they regret it? No. They've waited for something right to come along, and that's really what we're trying to channel with this process. I think it's just so easy to get swept up when you're doing inspections, and it's just so exciting, and you just want it to happen. You go to inspection after inspection, and it's easy to get swept up in the excitement of things and compromise on things. So again, it's really good to have that list of priorities to avoid getting swept up. But yes, we really are trying to channel patience in this whole process, and we know that the right one will come along when it's meant to be. But anyway, those are the big lessons that I've learned so far. I really hope you found that useful. If you are also on your house hunting journey, please let me know down below and share a reflection that you've had. I would really love to know. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye!